Welcome, everybody. This is Beyond the Walls with your man, Harry. I'm here with One,
Yes, sir.
D,
You.
Sophony, and Mr. Rico.
Zakafet.
And we're here to have and engage in conversation. We're here with part 2 of failed leadership. And if you tuned into the first one, I hope you did. We're going to further continue this conversation that we had in the last. We want to expand on a few things that we talked about and kind of just share our opinion, share some wisdom, and see where this takes us. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's weekend?
Man, quick, man, too fast.
Yeah,
I know.
busy,
It was a quick
very
weekend.
busy.
You
Very
ain't go to
busy.
Spain. You ain't go back to Spain. No Italy. No nothing. Nah.
No royal weddings this week.
Right now.
Nah. Everything is everything. Everybody's alive. Made it back to
That's
a
good.
new week. So everybody's good.
So we added people to the party. That's my man Rico.
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 He's gonna be
Rico
he's gonna,
Suave.
he's gonna be here with us too. Inputting some of his intelligence on some topics that we have.
Was funny.
There you go. And we are gonna touch upon a topic that we hit before, and we're gonna hop back into it. I shared with you guys, and this is public information. We won't go into detail about everything that was done, but worship leader in Florida who was arrested for some, we called it bad behavior on part 1, and he made bail, and bail was, I think it was like 30 G's.
Yeah, it was like 30,000.
And he made bail, and so while he was out on bail, another young man came forward with some allegations,
Oh man.
and the victim statement was detailed and disturbing. Very disturbing.
So we can call it predatory behavior at this point.
Absolutely.
Obviously this is sad on multiple levels. Seeing somebody fall so far from grace is never something that should be sensationalized or gossiped upon and different things
for sure.
like that. So we're gonna shy away from that aspect of it. I wanted to zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because reading the affidavit, reading the victim statement and different things like that, it reads exactly how a lot of these things normally do.
It follows a pattern.
Right. I worked in insurance law for a while, and we represented insurance companies that provided insurance coverage for large institutions, the YMCAs, whatever, Rock Nation, all types of different things like that. These large institutions, they buy gigantic insurance packages, so which essentially covers them the same way your car insurance covers you and different things like that.
Right.
One of the institutions we covered was Penn State.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. So
Oh,
exactly.
boy.
So during that
Wow.
fallout,
Whew.
the Jerry Sandusky fallout,
Yep.
we represented one of the companies that insured Penn State from 1980 up until 2015-ish,
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Boy.
In any event, reading those victim impact statements, reading those different things like that, because once you go through the criminal side of things, now there's a civil side of things.
Yep.
And what happens is the institution says, hey, guess what, insurance company, here's this thing that just came across our desk, you deal with it. So it was upon me to kind of go through these victim statements and different things like that and categorize them based on coverage. Okay, so this person says Sandusky violated him 14 times. This person says it only happened twice. This person says it happened 17 times.
So what's your thought process going through all of that?
You want to keep it as analytical and mathematical as possible.
Yeah, keep that when you put emotion or you add the emotion to
Right.
it, you kind of just want to start swinging on people.
For sure. You don't
Yeah.
you want to read it as literally this is 17 times we put in that category. This was 4
Wow.
times this is that category and different things like that. The only reason I bring it up is reading
Mhm.
the allegations against this worship leader, it reads the exact same way.
Wow.
Hmm.
You know, as a young kid, our parents, media, different things like that, you form this idea of who the predators are gonna be.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
usually somebody who's kind of dirty with snarly teeth and different
Mhm.
things
Drives
like
a white
that.
van.
They're gonna
Yeah.
have a van, whatever the case may be.
For real.
That was
When
like
the
a
reality
that was like a
is-
90s staple
For
for
sure,
any like
for sure, for
creepy-
sure, for sure. The reality is sometimes it's just gonna be a Toyota Camry,
Yep.
and he's gonna be wearing a plaid shirt tucked in neatly.
It's gonna be somebody that's close to you.
Right.
that you
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah.
And again, when you read the statement of this victim, it reads exactly like the Sandusky thing.
Whew.
They take a look, they say, okay, this kid gets picked up late or not at all, or whatever the
Mm.
case may be, and they start forming their plan, and it usually falls exactly how the
Mm.
accusations fell here. The tragic thing is, by the time these people get the courage to speak up or something comes to light, the damage is usually already done.
Major
Yeah.
damage. Many victims.
Yeah.
You know, I remember an instance with that news story where someone walked in on the coach and a young man and a young boy in the
Yeah.
shower.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do. He just kind of backed out, walked out, and after the allegations blew up, he said, "Yeah, I walked into this several years ago." You know, and so this makes me think, like, with his situation or with any situation like that,
Yeah.
like, many times the signs are there. It's just people miss it,
Mm.
you know?
Or they're just, I mean, with that situation, he probably didn't say anything because of his position of power.
Because it was a defensive coach who
Exactly.
saw, or one of the, like, you know, linebacker coaches or something like that. And so your job is maybe in jeopardy because I'm not
Right.
saying that this is one of the head
Yeah.
coaches. He's one of the top guys. So it's
But he plays a role as a leader, literally. If you think
absolutely,
about it.
absolutely. And it, you know, it just
And he kept
goes,
his mouth shut.
yeah, it just goes to show, like, you know, speaking up, speaking out, you know, no matter how painstaking it may be, it needs to be done.
Hmm.
For sure.
It's got to be done, you know?
The not funny about it, right? I was kind of having a conversation with this thing about my wife, whatever.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about it is just kind of like the mindset, right? Even having to ask the question. She was like, well, is he still leading worship?
Hmm.
And that's so crazy that we have to even ask that question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the
Yeah.
times, like we say, no one's
Yeah.
paying attention or it's kind of just swept under the rug.
Mhm,
Everybody comes to a mutual agreement behind closed doors and boom, right back in the, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know before you say, I was like, okay, so he was doing this at school. He obviously attends a church. It's like,
Did it
Are the-
happen?
did it happen at the church? You know? And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm not waiting for that. I'm hoping that didn't happen, but it's almost like, if he's doing it there, then he might have been grooming kids at the church too.
And
As-
should they follow up?
Yeah,
They definitely should.
But
absolutely.
here's my thing, which is so sad to say, for me, it's like if they're going to follow up on that,
Mhm.
is there going to be follow up for the victims at the church?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
tends to,
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a lot more traumatic.
Get
Mhm.
swept right
If-
under the pulpit.
Yeah, you go and you check in on with the victims that may or may not be at the church, and then there's no follow up. It gets swept right under the rug, which most likely will happen.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like church for most predators, it's an easy target.
Mhm.
Most
You know what I'm
definitely.
saying?
Yeah.
Like it, just the freedom of certain institutions where you just go in and
Yeah, visitors
just-
get VIP treatment. Like,
Bro,
come
there
on
were
in.
times where I'm not gonna name somebody, but there were times like for us, like especially for me and Sophie, like being in choirs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
like they just literally said, "Oh, you know how to direct the choir?
Mhm.
That's it. Bang.
Great."
No background
Nobody's been
check.
doing it for
Yo,
years. We
yeah.
need somebody.
We
Oh, this
need
is
somebody.
God.
Yeah, and
And-
it's so
Yeah, it's
they do
crazy.
that all the time. I
Yeah.
could even think of a couple of people who literally just came into the church and it's just like, oh, you know how to sing. You can go ahead and lead the choir.
Put 'em on a
and
team.
this person with And these
minister
leaders
to
would
use it.
pick us up. They drop us off at home after
Yo.
rehearsal. We'd be hanging out with them, going out to
No
eat and
issues,
stuff
right?
like that. And it's
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
nobody ever checked and nothing happened. You know
Right.
what I mean? But what if?
What if?
You know?
Yeah.
And there.
Yeah.
The-
Nuts.
it goes to show that, like, when I was gonna say, and it might segue into our next topic, because we spoke on this earlier, but like, it doesn't. It's like when somebody walks in and they have some sort of talent, or they can garner a lot of attention
Mhm,
that can
mhm.
bring notoriety to their church.
Yeah.
It's like they'll
Notoriety.
sweep all the dirty stuff
Mhm.
under the pulpit
Yeah.
so that they can use this or take advantage of this person's attention.
Yeah.
Segue into Mr. Kanye West,
Mhm.
who's
Mm.
getting a lot of church airplay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how the transaction happens. Where does Kanye call a church, or does his publicist call the church and says, "Hey, we want Kanye to
I highly
do us
doubt
a-"
it.
Like,
I highly doubt.
how does
You
that
highly
work?
doubt what?
I highly doubt that Kanye's team's reaching out to those people. It's those people reaching out
Yeah.
to Kanye West's team.
Mm.
I
That's the
agree.
way I feel.
I
I
believe
I
that.
cut you off earlier. My bad.
No. Well, it was with respect to the worship leader, because
Yeah.
he was asking,
Mhm.
is he still leading worship?
Yeah.
The thing about, we're Haitian, our people are prideful people,
Absolutely.
and it's one of these things where we will. The instinct to push things under the rug comes from trying to minimize embarrassment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
damage
Right.
control.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Damage control,
when
not
his
really.
face is on the
No,
local
I don't think
news,
hmm
Not well.
he immediately can't be on stage no more.
No.
Now, here's the difficulty. Had this been handled behind the scenes, he would have been on
All
stage.
good.
Yeah. If this happened in a
That's
church,
a problem.
that he would have still been doing
Right.
what he was.
The
He would have.
reason he's
It's
not
because
on
it
stage-
happened
right,
in a
exactly.
school.
Guys,
Because-
it sounds sick.
It's
It
the
sounds sick,
institution
but
it
it's
happened
true,
in.
though.
It's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? Once
Yeah.
the community
Wow, I didn't even
turns
think of
on the
that.
local news,
Yeah.
and it's his name, his face,
Yep.
he can't be on stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
Just
all
because
us
of that.
know-
Yeah.
exactly. All of
Yeah.
us know he
Wow.
shouldn't be on stage. The first time this allegation
Yeah.
comes out,
Wow.
private or public, he got to come on
That's
stage.
Right.
crazy.
He got to come off.
Yep.
You don't want to say get out of the church, but we're gonna modify everything about you. I
Yeah.
know your
Yeah.
voice is incredible.
Yeah.
This, that, and the third.
Uh-huh.
But again, back to what you were
And
saying.
that's what's
D, as
so
soon as
I'm so sorry.
No,
to
Go
you
ahead.
interrupt,
good. You good.
But that's what's so sad about it. When it comes back to the church, it's not the fact that it happened. It's where it happened.
Mm.
Where it
And it's
happened.
like where it happened, now we can't even do nothing about it because honestly, let's
Yeah.
be real.
And I was the way that Haitian people are, as the older generation, they're all about image.
Mhm.
And that was so evident to me in this past week, where I posted a picture of my daughter
Mhm.
with some boogers coming out of her
Oh,
nose.
that picture was crazy.
And her and my mom in love was just, she
She's
was
going
like,
bonkers.
"Oh, why you put that up? You need to take that down." And
Hold on,
I
you
was
call
like-
your mother-in-law mom-in-law?
well, I really don't. I was just doing it for the sake of the podcast, so people think I'm a nice person.
I'm gonna steal that. That's incredible.
Hey,
I'ma
Mom.
steal that.
Hey, mom in love.
Mom in
No, I really
love.
don't call it that. That was just.
I was
I
just
hear
thinking,
you.
that's
I'm a-
all that's nice.
I'm
Those
in the
mom in
mid-
love.
no.
I got a mom in love.
So you're
too.
being fake, bro.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
We
incredible.
talked about
Yes.
this. We
Yes.
talked about
I'm
being
sorry.
authentic
I'm
here. Like
sorry.
we're gonna be
No,
real.
no, no.
I'm sorry.
Steal that.
I have a nickname for her. Well, I don't think she wouldn't want me to say her name because she's. Well, again, like the Haitian people are so
Image is-
like.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's, it
she's
kinda-
like, why'd you? I was like, just
It
chill.
kind of goes
like,
beyond the
it's not
Haitian
that big of a
community,
deal.
right? Because if you think about it, this kind of relates to Ray Rice, right?
Whew.
He's an NFL player,
Yep.
big, strong running back.
Phenomenal point.
There was there was
He-
heard
he-
that he put his
he-
hands on
no,
his
no,
woman,
no.
right?
He accurately described
Hmm.
what he did to his lady earlier in the year. We're gonna
Mhm.
make up a month in March.
Yep.
TMZ gets access to the video of the entire event
Haymaker
in
City.
August. What he described to the NFL was exactly what was on the video, but the firestorm of seeing it on video,
Mhm.
embarrassing the league.
Mhm.
Then they got rid of him. At first, it was all out there, and the Ravens like, "Oh, we stuck by him, and we're
Right.
gonna get him some help."
Right,
As soon as they saw that
right.
Muhammad
Right.
Ali, right, man, that was
When it-
like,
No,
listen,
no.
this happened
It was disturbing.
just the way it happened, especially to a woman that can't protect herself.
right.
She probably, she might have said something, but at the end of the day,
Bro,
It-
the way it
Same
looked, man,
exact thing.
He
it looked
hit-
like he could have dragged that body and put her.
he
in a,
hit
you know,
hit
lake.
her, and then when she hit the floor, it was almost like he didn't kick her, but he kind of like nudged her, almost like upset, like, yo, why'd you fall out?
Yeah.
Like, now I gotta. It was just
Crazy.
like, yo, are you kidding?
Crazy.
It was just disturbing.
But same exact
it was
thing, right? It's
disturbing.
being
Mhm.
camouflaged, it's being disguised, and once it's exposed,
When
right,
you
we
put
got
the
a
light
bad
on
stuff
it,
that was
man,
bad-
that's
bad
when the
on us.
shock.
But it's
Yeah.
crazy
The
that
shock
that's
sets in.
that's literally the definition of failed leadership, right?
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, just
Absolutely.
looking at I'm just picturing the whole event here. Not event, but kind of the case right now.
Yeah.
But is the church kind of asking questions? Would you expect them to? I would expect them to, but does that bring more embarrassment to that person's family or to that person himself? Do they care about that more than the safety of the children that are in the church? Or
They probably
teens?
heavy into prayer right now. Just
wow,
like
that's
Shut
a
in.
that's a heavy
it's
point, bro.
It's like all and that's great, yeah, pray, but like
There's the
There's no
action.
Where's
action
the-
behind it?
like it's almost like when real quick biblical reference when they defeated the Israelites defeated Jericho,
Mhm.
they defeated like these people they weren't even supposed to win
Mhm.
against,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then their next battle came against a small city. They didn't even have to send all their people in, and somebody took what's his name, Acon, took one of the treasures that they were supposed to destroy from Jericho, put it in hid it in his
Yep,
camp,
yep.
and they went in and they lost against this small nation, because something, they had something.
Steady trying to find a motive. Why do what I do?
They had a little.
Convict music.
Yeah.
Word.
They just. It's bad.
Nah,
Like,
for sure.
It's a different Akon, but go ahead.
and so Joshua, the leader of this nation, he's
But
like
if
crying and praying. He's like, "Yo, God, why we lose?" And God told him, "He's like, yo, get up off your knees and stop praying. This
Start
Do what
yeah,
you
go
looking
make
around.
some action. There's
Handle
sin in
this.
your camp. Go
Word.
handle that."
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, the prayer goes only so far,
Yes.
but it has to manifest into action.
So
Mhm.
speaking about handling that, right?
Yeah.
How does the church or how do we handle Kanye?
Oh boy. So
Uh,
one, you don't invite him like after he's out there, but you don't just go and invite him without like feeling him out or anything like that.
If they invite him, they have to pay him.
Yeah, absolutely, because
Mhm.
they got all those people traveling and all that stuff. You don't just you have to get a feel for a person, and I'm not saying that these people have not, but it doesn't strike me as a situation where they would. It's like, oh, he's saved now, okay, dollars and cents. That's good. We're a little behind on the mortgage, so let's.
Right.
And this is not a.
man.
This is maybe whether his conversion is authentic or not. This is not necessarily a fault on Kanye, because
Yeah.
if they're inviting him, that's all on y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
That's
sure.
on y'all.
And
Yeah.
I feel like with us as a community, like we need to watch and pray. And it's like we hope that it's authentic and
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to be so quick to allow him to just lead
Yeah.
is where I have the issue with. But at the same time, I think popularity and social status is a very dangerous
big.
thing.
It's so big, and I was gonna segue right into the point that Rico had made when we were talking a few days ago. Something he called the Kanye cycle,
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
and if you want to share real quick.
Further
wh-
elaborate,
Whew.
Mr. Rico.
when
So-
you laid out those facts, I was like, well then, I was like,
You know,
wow.
It's funny. Yeah. So with the church and their relationship to Kanye, it should be treated just like you treat any new convert,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is with love,
Mhm.
Yeah.
with acceptance,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and with care.
Yeah.
The difficulty we have here is this personality type. This person we're dealing with is a very public and loud and over the top personality,
Mm.
and he may look at some normal ways of handling him as of he might view it as, oh, you're trying to silence me,
Mm.
you're trying to edit me, you're trying to you don't understand my creativity or
But
whatever.
that's
Trying
what
to
he's
filter me.
already saying.
Right.
Yeah.
When the reality is you are 6 weeks into this, and we don't allow people who are 6 weeks in to talk on
You're not
Sunday
even on
morning.
solid. You're not on solid food yet,
That's
sir.
just what it is.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
Well,
You talk to
Oh,
anybody
hey,
who
whoa,
converted.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I've witnessed people that.
But because of their social status.
No, not
No.
only because of that.
How did
There's
it
people
go?
that we come from left field.
How
and
did
they're
it
on
go?
Stage preaching the word of God on
How
fire.
does it
then
go?
they disappear.
Right.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah, we know
Right.
how we went, bro.
Okay, so
We
so,
know the results.
So that's the difficulty with this.
Yeah.
The Kanye cycle, which I was bringing to you guys' attention, is something that has come up time and time again with Kanye,
Mhm.
and it usually goes he's out of the spotlight for a little while.
Mhm.
Roll the
Okay.
footage. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that point A? Point
Right.
B?
Right,
Point
that's
one?
that's step one, right? So
Right.
Kanye's been out of the spotlight.
Where's
Okay.
Kanye?
And then you know, the internet usually will go buzz and be like, hey, we saw a photo of Kanye with this person in the studio. Hey, we saw Kanye in Chechnya. He's working on a thing. And then Kanye will come out and say something. So this is step two. He has a new passion.
Okay.
Whatever that passion might be. It
Yep.
might be fashion.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
It might be some new electronics. It might be some new technology. It might be a person.
Sounds like a Manny
Right?
High and Low
Right.
transition.
So
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
so then
Quiet.
he announces his new passion, and now he starts making comments, statements, stuff on social media, whatever the case may be. And it's over the top
Frequently.
stuff. It's never
Yeah.
nuanced. It's
Yeah.
never, hey, I'm really interested in fashion now. It's I am a visionary in the fashion world. The
Mhm.
things that I'm gonna
I'm
put
here to
out
take over.
are
Or
gonna
I
change. You
created
know what I
it.
mean?
It started
It's
with
never,
me.
yeah, right.
Ever
It's
since I was in my mother's
exactly. It is
womb.
exactly.
I'm the
I
Walt Disney of this.
designed the blanket that I was swaddled in after I came out of my mom.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
no, Kanye.
Crazy statements.
Literally everybody had the same exact.
Mhm.
And then step 4 is he puts out his music.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Then he
obviously,
deuces.
yeah, he's created a
Chuck
buzz
the
and this
deuce.
and the other, and then along
Then he
with
goes
the
on tour.
music is merch and
Mhm.
a tour. What's difficult here is so let me just rewind a little bit. Back in the day, I used to play Mario Brothers all the time. And yeah, exactly. I don't know if y'all remember. All right, so y'all heard of Mario
I'm sorry.
Brothers.
I'm very sorry. I apologize. I should have never
Oh,
did
yeah,
that.
come on, bro.
Shouldn't have
In
done
Mario Brothers, there was this thing you could do. We kind of get it. We got it.
You got me excited.
good.
I just want to lead worship
We
through
got
Mario
it.
right
We
now.
got it.
Wow.
Lead worship through Mario.
Wow.
But yeah, Mario, you can eat the star.
It won't stop. baby.
Somebody call the pastor. Stop.
I'm mad at Second
This is
Kanye.
my. This is my
Multiple.
fault. No, that
Lord.
was my
Multiple.
fault.
I was not involved in that.
I
I'm so sorry.
apologize.
All right, go ahead, Rico.
But
You
yeah,
go ahead.
in Mario, you could eat a star, and when
Mhm.
you ate the star, it
Yep.
let you run through a level.
Mm.
You couldn't be touched by anything.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
collected all the coins
him
and this,
know.
that, and the
Yeah.
other.
He's preaching right now.
Right.
Go ahead.
Let's go.
Kanye, by putting out a gospel album, has eaten the star
Facts.
because he has made us hesitant to critique him.
Mm-hmm,
So he
Hallelujah.
is running through this level,
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I'm a Christian.
untouched,
Yeah.
And-
collecting all his coins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, we'll see what happens.
It's working.
It
You know
is
how many
working.
videos I've seen of
Right.
people going, "Oh, Kanye said that all the Christian people are judging him," and I just felt so bad. I just went to get his album, and I'm listening to it, and it's just like, I mean, yeah, his album.
album-
The album is
some good songs.
pedestrian.
a
Lyrically
collection.
pedestrian.
His
Chick-fil-A,
album,
bro.
right,
Chick-fil-A.
right. Jesus is King.
I
It
don't.
was
I don't
bad.
like that. I don't
So
like
that-
that
is-
song.
so
That was a
Is
bad
it-
line. Go ahead.
It is
Yeah, yeah.
a collection
Yeah.
of mediocre
I
music
Yeah.
tried.
Facts.
with moments of nonsense
Yeah.
and pockets of brilliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scoopity
Yeah.
poop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Lyrically
essentially how Kanye
pedestrian.
has been for
For
like
sure,
a
man.
10-year period. There are pockets of brilliance, and we all know which ones those are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moments of nonsense.
Yes.
Chick-fil-A and all that other
Yes,
stuff.
like
a
closing
bad
on
line.
Sunday. I think that's such a stupid song.
Right. And then it's just
But there's some
kind
good
of
ones on there.
very, yeah, exactly. It's
But
very
you know
really
what?
good
He's
one.
not lying though. Chick-fil-A is closed on
So-
Sunday.
We all know
So
that.
All right, cool.
one of the reasons why I think he has so many people convinced is that he looks the part, or like his language looks
When
the
he's-
part.
I got
When
you.
he speaks, he's using all the right terminology
He's
that
talking nonsense to
churchy
me.
people use, and that's the thing.
He sounds like a person who has read an article
Li-
about
Thank
the
you.
Bible.
Listen.
For
He
like-
sounds
He
like
is
a person
he sounds.
who has
Do you know
read
why it works?
most of an
Do
article
you know,
about the Bible.
listen. Do you
Yeah.
know why it's working though? Because for so long we've tolerated nonsense in our churches. So when
Right.
so
He
there's
stepped into
nonsense
That's
the
part
already
of
in.
it.
There's already nonsense in our churches.
Right.
People just
Yeah.
saying
Right.
wild stuff,
Right.
but somebody from the outside is now saying wild stuff, and they're eating it up.
Right.
One thing I like to drive home is just basic Christianity, basic believer. I don't know if you ever heard it this way, but you are a 3-part being. You are 3 parts. You are flesh.
Yeah.
You are soul, which
Yeah.
which inhabits your emotion, your mind, your
Yeah.
memories, everything that's happened to you. It's all in there. It's
Mhm.
downloaded, and you have your spirit.
Yeah.
When you get converted, when you get saved, the only thing that is saved is your spirit. It's almost like
Yeah.
that scene from like ER, when you see someone with a gunshot wound or somebody had a stroke or somebody had a heart attack. They bring him in. He's on the machine, and it's like beep. The guy's dead. He's
Yeah.
gone. What do they get? They get the
Clear.
defibrillator. They hit him with the defibrillator. That's 2,000-3,000 volts of pure energy running
Yeah.
through him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens to you when you get saved.
Yeah.
The power of the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit reinvigorates, revives your spirit to connect with God the Father.
Preach.
But your flesh is not saved, but and you still have your memory doesn't get wiped clean.
Nope.
You still have
Nope.
triggers. You still
Yeah.
have things that you have to heal from.
Yeah.
And so if you get saved and the only thing that changed was your clothes and your language and your schedule
And your
Yeah.
hair color.
and your hair color,
Yeah.
that's not really
But you
changed.
said something
Right.
very important real quick, right? And I kind of want to stop here and we talk about failed leadership. And I think the biggest failure is this dude lost his mom, right? And
Mhm.
never really recovered and really never really got a chance to like truly mourn, right?
Very
So
true.
inviting this guy out to do this and to do that and not doing you're not checking in to see how he's really doing the true investigation. How are you doing?
Just
Not
keep
how you
singing,
view-
keep rapping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
think
good.
that's the true thing right there, where we kind of like a lot of people forget that point. That
As-
that's
as
that's
long as
hard.
you keep
Losing a
the-
dog is hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even I'll add him to the picture, but he's out there. John Gray, he mentioned that on stage, like the preacher who was, caught cheating on his wife, supposedly only emotionally. But
Well, that's when she took the mic from him.
yeah,
the
so
mic from him.
yeah, saved
Before
his
he was
life.
about- yeah,
And,
right?
and
Before he
John
truly
Gray
admitted-
But-
is not a really good
but
excuse.
that's the thing,
because he
and
did say that. He was
He
saying
did say that.
how-
He's like, everyone just wanted me to get out there, preach, make people laugh,
It's
make
the
people
truth.
shout, but they didn't care about what was really
he
going
was
on in my
feeling.
marriage and at home.
But he
But
was
what?
just using that.
Yes, yes.
He has a
Because-
point. He has a
Using
point.
that for
He
what?
definitely has a point, but
He
he
has a
was
point.
using it
but
as
he
a
was
crutch.
using it as a crutch, and he was using it as
No, but you have to understand.
to
a
justify his
timeline-
actions.
Yeah, you know how it is. I'm
He
sorry,
was just
but
using
I'm.
all of that to justify.
You know how
his
somebody
actions.
say, "I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying? You could have helped me, bro." Like, no, just say you're sorry and just keep it
and
moving.
just keep it pushing.
But there's a timeline of him kind of saying that stuff, like pastors, which is true. They just expect the pastor just to be good. They don't pray. The members don't pray for the pastor. They don't really see how the pastor's really doing. Just give me the word and let me go home, or do a good Bible study. And if it's not good, I'll tell you. If it's good, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Leadership is a lonely position.
Right. I was
Word.
gonna say not
Definitely
just
is.
pastors, anybody in
And,
leadership.
in
and
leadership.
I think it's
anybody in a
hard thing
leadership,
and-
if you
yeah.
a CEO, if you own your own business, it's a
Yeah.
lonely place because you
Mhm.
can't vent to
Yeah.
underlings
You
in a
can't.
sense,
You can't.
because people look to you as
Yeah.
a beacon of light.
Yes.
And if they think in their minds like, oh, he's dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, it like kind of
Yeah.
like breaks their sort of faith in
Right.
who they see in
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
to lead them into like salvation or into like a better life,
Word.
for yourself spiritually. So it's difficult.
It is.
I'm hesitant to be too critical about how established Christians or large churches or whatever the case may be are embracing Kanye. Only because it's pretty obvious, regardless of what these large churches do, Kanye's gonna do what he does.
Word.
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I could see how if I'm a pastor of a large congregation and he wants to do a Sunday service, he will do it in the city regardless if I'm part of it or not.
True.
I may try to involve myself just to make sure that Jesus gets injected into this service and it doesn't turn into moments of praying to Kanye, not for Kanye.
Oh, well then.
He
say
listen.
say less.
This is part two of failed leadership, right? Part of the reason this particular person was able to ascend to the heights that he's been able to ascend to in such a short amount of time is a vacuum in the leadership, in the sense of and I've mentioned this to you guys before, like
Mhm.
no group, no book, no song, no movie, no government has done more damage to Christianity than Christians.
Yeah,
For sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
I have to agree.
And so what ends up happening in a moment like this is that there is not really one voice, one artist, or whatever the case may be, that can meet Kanye at his level right now
Yeah.
within the church, because of all the things that have been going on within
Yeah.
the church.
I have to agree with that, and like I would even update what I just agreed to. Not so much as the people who've done the most damage to the church are people who are Christians. Not so much that, but people who say they're Christians.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
They
sure.
just
That's a
claim
good
it
one. Yeah,
nominally
yeah,
and
yeah,
just be like,
absolutely.
"Yeah, I'm
A lot of
Christian."
people do.
Whew.
A lot of people do.
You
Yeah.
know, I was thinking about this, which was some of the Old Testament punishments.
Oh boy.
In the sense of you know, if people still died on the spot that they lied about certain things, I feel like some of the stuff that has gone on with our leaders and with people who call themselves Christians just
Mhm.
wouldn't have happened anymore.
Yeah.
Just been a lot more hesitant to call themselves that, because just like you said, man,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with rappers, right? Like
Mhm.
everybody who has a laptop and a mic is a rapper. And what that means is when they go out in the street and do something crazy, the news says
Yeah.
local rapper
Yeah.
shoots up middle school.
Yup.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
what makes him a rapper?
Right.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
has a laptop and a mic,
In a
he's a
FL
rapper.
studio,
Right.
like-
He has,
Yeah.
he's a rapper. So
Yeah.
that's what's difficult about some of the stuff that Christians get blamed for, is
Mhm.
like you know, a person who posts their Sunday outfits and Bible verses 2 or 3 times a week is not a Christian. It's just somebody who wears the clothes or the
Yeah.
appearance of a Christian. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to
But
defend.
sorry.
yeah.
No, I mean,
ahead.
it's really hard to defend. You know, your leaders in
Mm.
the church.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to the ones who are doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of
Right.
all,
yeah,
absolutely.
man.
like, because it's a tough job, and the ones who are
Yes.
in it and are persistent
Yeah.
and they felt like they want to quit and they keep going, man,
Yeah.
shout out to y'all who are doing it and trying to grow what you have.
For sure.
But to the others, quit. Do something else.
What you gonna say? So
Yeah.
No, I was I want to say a couple things. I feel like back to the Kanye situation, even going back to Kanye's going to do what he wants to do. So
Mhm.
even if you don't invite him into the church, he will be down the street at the stadium
Yeah.
and have
call
a
it
packed out.
church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I get that, and it's so crazy because as you were saying that, I was like, man, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because
Yeah.
it's like if you accept him,
Mhm.
if you're like, yeah, come on in and speak, everybody's
Yeah,
just like,
you
what are you
should.
doing?
Yeah,
And
it's
then
like,
if
oh,
you
they're
don't,
just
they're
using
like,
them.
what
what are you
doing?
doing? You know, how
So
dare
he
you?
can't come
You're
to your
like,
church
you're
and
being
push 'em out?
judgmental. So it's like
Yeah.
it's on both
But I
ends.
mean, there's a way to do things. There's a way.
Are you
it-
saying?
But we don't know
because
that as a
Kanye-
Christian
Are you saying he's a
community.
God of order?
What?
right.
No, I mean, there's we've seen this before. What happened to Mace?
Right.
Okay.
The same thing
Good.
that happened to
Word,
Mace.
Yeah.
word.
When Mace came out of New York, he went straight to Atlanta, and they put him on stage.
You know
But I
what's
think
Became a
crazy
you
pastor.
said
about
a
Mace?
point,
What he
you
was doing? He
Mhm.
was actually ghostwriting for pastors, and then that pastor found out that he was Mace, and then he started pastoring. He started
Wait a minute.
like, speaking.
Ghostwriting sermons?
He was ghostwriting a sermon for a pastor.
Are you for
He was
real?
hiding out in Atlanta.
Wow.
He was
Wow.
ghostwriting a sermon for a pastor. That pastor found out. Well, people in the church, I think he was like after 8 months, they found out, yo, that's Mace. So he started
Wow.
becoming a pastor and started preaching and all of that.
But
stuff.
you said, there's a way to do things.
Right.
And for me at this point, even when I'm just thinking about the failed leadership, I'm thinking about the praise and worship leader, Kanye, just even this week, just thinking about mentorship,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
this is like a season of going through grief for me. And I have a mentee that had experienced grief, and I wanted to call them because I know they can relate.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, but if I call and I show this emotional side of me, that's gonna I'm gonna lose something
within-
there.
Yeah.
Within the dynamic of that
Relationship,
Oh,
relationship.
she,
right?
oh, she can't help me because she's dealing with the same thing too.
Right,
thing.
kind of thing. And so you say, so then I'm like, as a leader,
Right.
as with my Christian walk, all this, I said, and I'm thinking to myself, what is the way to do it? And I feel like with the Christian culture, there's really no steady foundation, I feel like, because there's so many interpretations.
Yeah.
There's so many everything. Like, it's like you go to this church, this is what they believe. You go to the same church, that's the same denomination, this is what they're doing. And there's so much going on. And I feel like we're that one religious group that people like Kanye could just come in
Yeah.
and wreck like that, and we're never all standing on one page and being like, no, this is what we stand
what?
for.
You
If
know
Kanye
what?
shaved his head and started wearing robes, this and the other, monks wouldn't be like,
Thank you.
you're now the top monk.
Right.
They'd be like, no,
You're
no,
now
you
the
and now
top
have to
You
be
could not.
silent
Exactly
for
my
27
point.
years
Yes.
before we allow you to wipe tables in
Word,
here.
word,
Thank you.
word.
Right? Like,
Thank
monks-
you. We're that one religious group that people can come in and do what they want and then
Right.
dip out.
Right.
And then we're left like, what the heck
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
That's
happening?
what
Like,
you
we
call
don't.
disorder.
We
Order.
don't
Right.
stand
You're making a phenomenal
together.
point.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that concerns me deeply with Kanye's movement.
Mhm.
There's a lot of chaos with it.
Mhm.
Shouts out to the wife, Brooklyn Debster, at Instagram. That's her thing. She just did like a
Woo woo.
really great breakdown.
Go ahead,
Mm.
Deb.
But she did point out in part of her breakdown, like God, he's a God of order.
Mhm.
Most definitely.
The chaos that surrounds his Sunday services and different things like that, and the stuff that goes on online after these things is a bad sign to me.
Mhm.
I'm uncomfortable questioning his salvation. I wouldn't do it to Kanye.
No.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
to an addict we just helped on Sunday.
Mhm.
I wouldn't question either of their
But
salvation.
I feel like, because I remember we talked about it the last podcast too, where Justin Bieber went through that situation too, but it was dealt with differently, way differently. Where
For
he-
sure, but I apologize for cutting you off. Bieber's conversion was not part of his rollout,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Like, the reality of the situation is Kanye is using his salvation as
As a
part
roll-
of
yeah,
his
yeah.
rollout,
Promotional.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With
Very
808s and
good.
heartbreaks,
Yeah.
he used his depression as
Yeah.
part of his
Yeah.
rollout.
Yeah.
With this last one, Ye, Wyoming was the obsession. It became everybody come to Wyoming. It's not that Wyoming is a quiet, nice place. It's the greatest place on earth. We gotta all go to Wyoming.
And that's just that's
Life
so
of
telltale signs of
you know what I
signs
mean?
of
Like
bipolar
with
disorder.
with Life of
Man.
Pablo, his obsession there was Kim, and it wasn't that Kim was a pretty woman. She is the new Venus de Milo.
Yeah.
She's this down the it's like, yo, yay, let's dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, as Christians, we're in a tight spot because again, he's eating the star of God put it on my heart.
Yeah.
And that
And
phrase,
Who are you to say?
right?
Yeah.
Because now he
Yeah.
puts us in a position, then you go to yourself,
But it goes back to
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
right,
It goes back to
Right.
God being a God of order.
right,
And because we're so disorderly,
right,
we can't even tell what's what.
right.
You know,
Yo.
and that's what it is.
And
Like,
we also can't respond and
we-
coordinate it.
we can't.
Yeah. After David Slade live, he went right back to the pen, taking care of sheep. He had to
Like
wait
nothing
his
happened.
turn.
He had to
Mm.
wait his turn.
He had to wait your turn.
Very true.
Now
You gotta get some experience.
imagine a pastor saying, "Hey Kanye, you're not allowed to speak on Sunday mornings. You're not there yet." He would jump on the radio, social media.
But
the
he's
whole night.
already saying that.
right
Yeah.
because he
Yeah. He has that star power.
But
He's
this
already
is- but
saying
this
that,
is
and it's
where-
already moving people.
This is
He's
where
already
Sophie
saying
needs-
the Christian people are judging me, and
and
this,
it's not about
and it's not
judgment.
even
No,
a
we're not
judgment. It's
judging
just
you.
like
Like, we
there's
hope you're-
levels
It's
to
not
this.
about
yeah, we
judgment.
hope we
yeah.
hope that you're well.
But
Right.
hold
Yeah.
on,
The
hold on
reality-
though. But hold
yeah.
on though. Just like Sophie said, that there's a whole bunch of mixed messages going on.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
There are a bunch of Christians that are just hating on him.
Well, for sure,
100%.
but-
Just
Yeah.
saying that,
right.
yo, he's not
Right.
really converted.
Posted
He just,
his old lyrics.
yeah, all of that
holding
stuff.
them- right.
And then there's people that are just like, oh, nah, you can't judge him.
Right.
Like, you
And-
know.
and-
And,
and-
then
and-
you have the people that are just like, you know, come to my church and speak. You know what I mean? So there's too many.
Right. From
You know
the
what I mean?
crowd.
The question
from-
is who's controlling the narrative. In
well,
a sense.
at this
He is.
point,
Yeah.
I was just about to say, at this point,
Mhm.
it's good music and Kanye who
Yeah.
are controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
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 Because the power's in their hands, to be honest, if you look at it. Like, they're creating the noise, okay? The church is a platform. That's
Mm.
all it is.
Mm.
They're creating the noise. They're creating the content.
Yeah.
The church is just another platform.
For
So
them to
it's
be
not
able to
that,
push it out.
you know what I
Nah,
mean?
yeah.
So
One of the things I love about this show, and Sophie only pushed the envelope last time with that last little comment where she was like, "Yeah, since she came out her mom's vagina." Easily,
bro.
my favorite moment of the show.
I was thinking about it after I was
Yeah.
saying.
No.
too late.
It's
Too
just
late,
out
too
there.
late,
It's
it's
out
out
there.
there.
Yeah, it's kind of like deleting the tweet and everybody
Right.
knows what you tweeted.
Yeah,
It's too
it's
late.
too
You might as
late.
well just own
Screenshot
it.
it.
You just
Bars.
gotta be like, yeah, I
Too
said it. I'm gonna go ahead and push the envelope too for this episode
Great. I want to hear
and
it.
point out something that I haven't heard yet. And to be clear, I'm not questioning the man's salvation. I'm not disparaging him in any way, but it would be inappropriate for me to be in church for as long as I've been here and not identify something and speak out on it. But who is Lucifer, right? Lucifer was God's favorite angel.
Mm.
Lucifer's gift was what?
Anointed
Music.
cherub. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
And
He had the pipes.
Right.
the
Mhm.
scripture that
pipes in
alludes to
there.
him is sort of musical. That speaks of pipes and him
Yup,
being,
yup,
you
yup.
know,
Right.
Yeah.
So now what ended up happening here, as we all know the story, is Lucifer believed he deserved to be God, and it
I will
got him
ascend to the throne.
right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
This man has already put out an album called Watch the Throne. Now, to be clear, I'm not big conspiracy theory guy. I'm not big
Watch
on
the throne.
I happen
I
to be.
am.
Right.
I happen to be.
Right. But
I just love the Lord, bro.
but it would be inappropriate for me not to go, wait a second, you know, these and again, the difficulty with discussing biblical matters and different things like that is people try to use that language and twist it in a way to make you seem nuts, right?
Mhm.
And I always tell people like, no, right now we're discussing spiritual things, and so
Yeah.
we're using spiritual language, we're
Yeah.
using spiritual examples. If we were talking about changing a transmission, I wouldn't go to a Bible verse to help you do that. I'd be
Yeah,
like, oh,
definitely
no, we
not.
got to do X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely.
But at this particular moment, we're talking about spiritual things.
Mhm.
And my biggest concern at the moment is, do we have a Lucifer type character in our midst, in which it's somebody who is using his gift of music to ascend to a place to kind of confuse the masses and different things like that?
Yeah.
Mm.
The answer to that question is I have no idea. I just don't like the signs.
He took a third of the angels with him.
The
Mhm.
third.
And that is where failed leadership goes back to. You know what I mean? It just goes back to that because he took a third of the angels with him. And
Yeah.
it's like we're hoping and we're praying, and I feel like that's what we need to be doing as believers, is
This
to
is
be
deep.
watching and praying.
Yeah.
Watching and praying, because say that this is what Kanye is doing. He's just wanting to get his music out there, wanting to get to that point, and then he's bouncing. He's taking
I think we're already on the
Li-
same page.
li-
right.
li-
He's
We're already on the
taken
same page. here.
Real-
a bunch of people with him, and it's like, how do you explain that to your youth, to your congregation, that you said, no, we're not judging, we're just he's saved, he converted, he's saved, we're loving, we're supporting, and there's no checkup, there's
accountability.
no there's
Yeah.
and there's no substance to anything.
li-
You know
real
what I mean?
quick,
There is no substance,
little-
and
real-
so
A quick scriptural reference. Acts chapter 16, verse 16 begins with a story of Paul preaching in a place. And all of a sudden, this girl, the city that they're in, that they're preaching and spreading the gospel in, this young girl starts following Paul around with his boys,
Yeah.
screaming out to people
Yep,
and
yep.
telling
Yeah.
them,
Mm.
these men are men of God.
Yeah.
They're proclaiming the word of God. These
Yeah.
men are good men. This young lady is a hired slave who has a demon on her,
Yeah.
a spirit of
Mhm.
divination,
Yep.
where she's able to prophesy. She makes money for her masters. Like
Mhm.
people come to her for her gift,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and those people who are her puppet masters, if you will, make their coin. And so after 4 days of this girl following around Paul and his boys, Paul rebukes the demon out of her, and now these slave masters, these puppet masters who
Yeah.
are using this young girl
Heated.
and the demon that's in her for money don't have a cash cow anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so after Paul rebukes the demon in her,
Mm-hmm.
the demon leaves her. She no longer has this
Yep.
gift.
Yeah.
And so who gets the punishment? Paul and
And his
Paul and
peoples.
Silas.
Yep.
Paul and Silas. They
He
put him
me-
in
he
prison.
messed up
They
the money.
beat
Yep.
them. They put him in
Yep.
because you killed their cat. And so let's say this is a ruse. The person or the pastor or the believer who
Will
calls it
answer.
out
Mhm.
Yeah.
will be punished.
Yeah, we'll be
They
penalized for
will
it.
be penalized heavily
And that is
because you're
okay.
killing the cash cow. If this is that situation,
See, now it sounds scary. To be honest,
yeah,
because if you think about it, he has all the power right now to just get up and say whatever they've been teaching y'all, they don't know what they're talking about,
For
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
and leave with 1/3
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
of
And because of the failed leadership,
yeah,
he can point to countless examples.
very true.
And because of those
Very
the
true.
failed leadership, people are still looking for that safe
Right.
haven, that place
Right.
of
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
Right.
And imagine all those
Listen.
people who were not supported, all
Right.
the youth, the people
Right.
that we've been talking about that's looking
Ostracized.
for
Right.
right.
this is
that-
the man. They're gonna be like, this is
so
the
now
man.
it's just like,
Yeah.
okay,
Listen.
y'all failed. Like
You
when
know-
I can go back to
Yeah.
church now. I'm listening
Yeah.
to this music. I
Right.
can still do what I
Right.
want. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? And that's
Because look, man, the church of Kanye is gonna be lit. Like, can we just be real?
Bottom
It
line.
will be.
It's gonna be lit.
And everybody's gonna be fly.
Everybody's gonna be extra
Yeah.
fly.
yeah.
Oh man, communion.
You know-
vodka shots,
My goodness.
You know,
Dulce.
And then it's
that's the thing.
music on top of that.
Right.
Because it's
It's-
dope.
it-
Right.
and,
'Cause
and-
look-
and music is
Well, the
such
live
a
stuff is dope.
powerful
Yo,
thing.
I saw the joint on the plane.
Not the
joint
album.
You sent on the
Right,
plane.
it's
The
incredible.
live stuff
Right.
are
Music
dope.
Right.
is
The
a
live stuff is
powerful
dope.
Right.
thing.
Oh, it is.
Dope.
It is.
Man.
Like that is it's influential.
Oh,
yeah,
Like
it
you know
is.
what I mean?
It
So
is.
it's like, and the music is good.
Yeah.
The singing is good.
Hillsong
You can
didn't
get
make
people-
Follow God.
Nah.
Hillsong don't gotta
Nah.
follow God. They got a lot of lit joints, but Follow God is incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
you can play that in the gym, you
Yup.
can play that
Yeah.
at church, you can play that whatever,
Yeah.
and immediately when it kicks on, it immediately gives you. So part of the problem with failed leadership is it's a lot of people running around claiming that they've been called to be
Yeah.
leaders.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you can't fake certain things.
Yeah.
Right? When you get on stage and you're doing your thing, this, that, and the other, you might have the right language, you might cite the right verses, you might say them perfectly, this, that, and the other, but you can't fake the feeling.
No. No.
Now, so now you have a bunch of people who are running around claiming that they're called, but they don't have the impact of Follow God. Like that one track alone
Mhm.
Yeah.
will give people a feeling that they'd be like, well, look, I know you guys are saying that Kanye this, that, and the third, but I feel something when I hear his music, this, that, and the that I don't feel from the leaders you have.
Nobody God called in Scripture. Nobody. Well, I can't say nobody, but many of the
98%.
many of
I
the
think I
people that
already
I'm
know.
thinking of that God called, they gave an excuse like, "No, I don't."
They
wanna
didn't
do
wanna
it."
be
They
called.
didn't want it.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you see someone running to be in front,
Yes.
Be
I don't know if
Yes.
that's
Careful.
Be
Watch and
careful.
pray.
Yes.
Be careful.
Yo, I
Again.
guarantee you, he's gonna get a 501c3, and that's gonna allow him to start a religious organization. I guarantee you, because I was listening to Kim. I was saying this before, and I was listening to Kim Kardashian interview, and it was like so is he gonna start a church? He's like, yeah, not yet. He hasn't registered for 501c3, so they already know the process.
They know the
Ah,
they
it's
know the
gonna-
verbiage.
Guarantee you.
Wow.
She's gonna be
Guarantee
a
it's
lawyer
gonna
too,
happen.
right? That's what-
Guarantee
Yeah,
it's gonna
she's
happen.
gonna be a
you
lawyer.
know,
Wow.
we find ourselves in an interesting place, right?
Mhm.
Because part of me is obviously pleased about the idea of people who never considered turning their lives over to God
Mhm.
and going, well, if Ye did it, then I mean,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
There's a
Yep.
pleasing aspect to
Oh,
it,
there will be good
yeah.
that comes out of this.
for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
The scripture says it.
Absolutely.
Paul was preaching about it. He said,
Yeah, there's people
Listen.
out here faking it, but if they're preaching the
Jesus
gospel,
is
yo,
being
let them go.
"Let them
Right,
go,
word.
because
Right.
the word of God is being preached."
Which
That's all that
to-
matters.
to be honest, that's where I am now.
Yeah.
I find myself just in a place where I go, well, in 2019, what was once considered completely absurd is now just everyday life. We don't need to get into the
Word.
specifics of
that.
what I mean,
Word.
word.
But one of the ways that manifests itself is a person like Kanye, appearing to be fully immersed in a godly pursuit.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be the one to openly mock or challenge that. But again, there are signs in his actions that worry me deeply.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take Sophony's approach. I'm gonna pray and wait.
Most definitely.
A lot of people in church now have this mindset, and I think that's it's just natural, right? Sci-Hi the Prince, and ironically, he's part of Good Music, one of Kanye's artists.
I didn't hear that
What's
album,
his
by
name?
the way.
Sci-Hi the
Prince,
Prince, right?
Prince.
He got an
never
album
heard of him.
called
He
No
is
Dope on Sundays,
Sundays, yeah,
which means
incredible.
no doing dope on Sundays and no selling dope on Sundays. As
yeah.
long as you ain't doing it on Sunday, doing it on a Sunday,
Right.
you can do it every other day of the week as long
Wow.
as you're keeping Sunday sacred.
Wow.
So all that matters, right?
Wow.
So that's just kind of the mindset.
Wow.
That's just a natural mindset. As long as on Sunday it's being presented and I'm living holy on Sunday, I can do anything else
Whew.
during the week. So
This
it is
thing
going to
got-
be easy to bamboozle anybody or accept
Hey,
anybody.
we
that's
grew up
coming
that
in.
way.
Yeah.
For sure.
grew up that way.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember coming up as a kid feeling guilty, like for like turning on like on a Saturday night, turning on BET, like and watching videos.
Your tip drill
Or like
video.
Or I wasn't up that late.
The what
That's
video?
The uncut video.
The
man.
what
It's the
video?
uncut.
I don't know what you're
BET
talking
Uncut.
about. No, but even on a Sunday morning, like I
credit card?
remember,
Word.
like my brother, he was the intelligent rebel. Like sometimes he'd have the TV on, and on Sunday it wasn't a rule, but it was like an unspoken rule. There's something that needs to be churchy on TV
Got you.
before you hit the church. And so my brother, back when my brother and we used to wake up at like 6 a.m. to watch Dragon Ball. And when we got older,
Nerds.
when we got older, it was different things, but everyone got into the habit of listening to gospel music or
Mhm.
watching some program on TV, whether it be Benny
Yeah.
Hinn,
Or
Benny Hinn knocking down like
WBRU,
20,000 people. Oh, WBRU,
WBRU.
fight. Yo, throwback. But it's like, my sister would come and be like, "That's not gospel," and my brother be like, "So, like, it's Sunday. So, like, what's the difference between any other day?"
Word,
You know what I'm
word,
saying?
word.
So
It's true.
it's like
It's true.
you get that you learn from a young age to play the image up, and
Yeah.
you played it, and I'm gonna go back to what I said is, the change that happens in you. It's like when you get saved, you don't all of a sudden have 6-pack abs and your feet don't smell no
Facts.
more and your skin gets baby. So this is not a fleshly
Word,
conversion.
word, word.
You don't change like your appearance doesn't change. It's
Mhm.
all happens in the dimension of the spirit.
Yep.
Quick question. So Kanye took some backhanded shots on what appeared to be Meek Mill.
Oh, 100%.
About
Oh God.
he said something in Big Boy's interview about
Yes,
you
he
can't
did.
you can't promote criminal activity
Hmm.
and then turn around and try to
Oh,
promote
man.
prison reform.
prison reform.
Kanye.
and Black Twitter went crazy. They thought that it was a shot at Meek Mill. It might even have been a shot at Jay-Z too.
Could have been too, for sure.
But like
100%.
is there room I think somebody asked this in the thread. Is there room for beef in the Christian, just the Christian realm in general,
Yeah.
but not necessarily Christian rap or Christian hip hop? It's like, can you beef? Like, are you gonna put out songs like trying to take shots at other
Gotcha.
artists? Like,
I doubt.
it
that
just
he
don't
is.
work. It really don't work.
Nah, that was. I mean,
Which is what, and I want to go back to what you said about that. You said. You said something to the effect of, Kanye should have kept his mouth shut about something like that. Like, if you're gonna try to judge or not, if you're gonna air out somebody's
yeah,
laundry,
yeah.
you air out your own. Like,
Yes.
who are you? Why are you
Yes.
talking about
But
that?
that's
Judge not,
just
lest you
typical
be judged.
Typical
Kanye.
Kanye.
That whole interview.
You got to make a
was
headline
just,
somehow, some
right.
way.
It was
It was all over the place. I'm like, what is he talking about? What are you leaders?
I'm absolutely.
Word.
For your leaders, yeah. I'm so convinced that many times he's dealing with the highs and lows of
Yes.
bipolar disorder,
100%.
and he's suffering with that. And I think he's in his high stage right now, and I hope he's okay when that low hits. Because lots of bad things can happen in the low. Other than that, be a voice, speak out. If you know something's going on, no matter the heaviness of it, if it's gonna save someone's life,
Yeah.
say something.
It's the hard.
Oh, say
Quick
something.
question:
Yeah.
where can the people watch or listen to Beyond the Walls PVD, Harry?
Bingo.
We're gonna be putting it on iTunes.
Oh.
It will also be on Facebook, and it will be on our YouTube channel.
Mm.
So subscribe, like it, comment. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Hey, right? Yeah, man.
Don't do
Usually
it.
watch that.
I'm always on the other end of
Yeah,
that. man.
right.
for sure.
That
Exactly.
bell.
What's up, guys? We're doing.
Yeah, click that bell.
I know. Ring that bell.
Yeah. Click
the
that bell.
notifications.
Get the
Gang,
notification.
gang.
Absolutely.
So this
Want
is
to hear
beyond.
some more stuff from Dr. Rico?
Yeah,
Dr. Rico.
Yeah, this
Rico.
is- this is Beyond the Walls. You're here with
being
me, young brother, better
sarcastic,
preach,
bro.
Harry, One,
Yep.
D,
You.
Sophony,
Let's go.
and Mr. Rico.
Sakapfet.
We out here, man.